There's nothing quite as awful as finding yourself utterly vulnerable and clueless about what's going wrong with your car. And that's what this video is about. Watch on and find out 4 useful tips that could keep you on the road. There's no doubt about it, these cars can sometimes feel a little bit unhelpful and so incredibly complicated that even the smallest problems can seem gigantic. Here are 4 tips that everybody should know who owns a Bentley Continental GT. And never fear, they're so simple that you'll honestly be brushing praise from your shoulders like confetti before you're finished. I've left the best till last, so hold tight. Okay, so first on the list is the simplest of them all, and it's a blown fuse. Yeah, I don't need to know about blown fuses, yeah? How many fuse boxes have you got in your car? Do you know where they are? Do you know how to find them? And do you know how to identify which fuse is for what? If you don't, then you've got to keep watching. And don't forget, if you ain't got any spare blade fuses, then you're not prepared for the road. Okay, so fuse box number 1, I'm going to say, is the interior of the car, and it's in the knee roll of the driver's side. To access this, you've got to fiddle around underneath like this until you find the catch and pull the lever down gently, and hey presto, the fuse box is now visible as the knee roll drops down on its hinges. In second place, number 2 is the boot compartment fuse box, and this is accessed by opening the main system battery cover like so, and there it is in all of its glory. In this fuse box you also have relays, which we'll tell you a little bit more about later on and identify what goes where. Now sadly, fuse box number 3 is the biggie. This is under the front scuttle, so you're going to have to remove that. It means removing your windscreen wipers. And if you want to know how to do all of this, then please have a look at this video or that video, and it tells you exactly how to do that while you're cleaning the drainage channels on your car. The whole purpose of a fuse is to blow if there's an unusual amount of current, or if there's a short circuit in a system which would otherwise cause damage to the car and maybe even set it alight if you're not very lucky. So bear in mind that when you're replacing fuses, you have to replace them like for like, and 9 times out of 10 there's usually a reason why that fuse blew in the first place. So don't think just swapping the fuse is definitely going to fix it forever. It probably isn't. At number 2, a non-starter. You get to your car and you turn the engine on, or you try, and the battery's flat. What do? Call the AA? Get someone to jump start you? Nah, before you do all of that, just use the left hand turn click. And to do that, you put your key in the ignition and turn it to the left before you turn it to the right. What this does is it creates a parallel circuit of both of your batteries. So the voltage is the same at 12 volts, but you get the amps from both batteries, and this may be enough to get your car started. And if it does, then great. You're going to need to give the car a good long run to charge those batteries up, and I would definitely recommend putting it on a battery tender when you get home to refresh and recondition the batteries. Losing charge is not good for these AGMs or any battery. Come to that. Batteries have a memory and they remember being flat. Don't forget. Now, if this little trick doesn't work for you, then you're going to have to talk about jump starting the car. Hopefully there's enough charge in the batteries to open the boot lid. We haven't got time to talk about the other way of opening the boot lid, but we'll do that in another video. Now, to jump start this car, you have to jump start both batteries, and this is how you do it. Open the covers and identify the negative and positive terminals on each battery. For reference, we're looking at the back of the car. When I say the left hand battery is the service battery. This is the battery that runs all of the main systems on your car. The one on the right hand side, the smaller one, is just for the starter motor. Now, once you've identified the terminals, you get your jump leads, which need to be a decent quality jump lead and not those really thin ones that melt. And you need to connect the negative terminal on the service battery, that's the left hand side, to the black cable. Now make sure that your cables can't touch at the other end while you're doing this, it's really important. And the best way to do that is to also connect the neutral or black cable to the neutral terminal on the donor vehicle. bear in mind you don't want that vehicle to be running just yet. Now connect the positive terminal on the starter motor battery to the red cable, and on the donor vehicle the same way. So positive to positive. Once you've done this, you can start the donor vehicle and then try to start the car. If all's well and you've got a good connection, it should fire into life. Give it a second or two and then disconnect the batteries, starting with the positive cable first, then the negative cable, and stash them away neatly for next time. In third place, imagine you've pulled onto the forecourt, you've got your dolly bird in the car with you and you're out to impress. You pull the fuel lever release and nothing happens. Yeah, great. You're running on vapours as it is, and you weren't planning on running out of fuel for at least another hour until you were somewhere quiet and secluded. You know what I mean. So what do you do about it? Everybody saw you come onto the forecourt. Everybody's now laughing in their sleeves because you can't fill your car up. But you're not going to be outfazed by this. You're going to march to the rear of the car, open the boot, get access to the starter motor battery flap, drop it down and look just above and beyond the battery, and you'll see the solenoid with a cable coming out the top of it. This is what controls the petrol fuel filler flap release. That's a mouthful, isn't it? You need to pinch it between your finger and thumb and pull down it until you hear the solenoid operate and the ping as the flap releases. You're back in business. Good for you. Saved the day. Now let's just say that the worst has happened and you've had to call in the services of breakdown recovery vehicle, and while you're waiting for it, there are some important things you need to do. Firstly, you need to get your warning triangle visible to traffic approaching from the rear. I would recommend at least 20 feet away from the car. This could save your life, literally. Be very careful when you're doing it. Once you've got this out, you need to access the toolkit under the rear boot floor carpet and the panel there, and you're going to be looking for the towing eye. And the towing eye is located in this polystyrene tub. Once you've got that, you're going to need a screwdriver, or in my case, a Torx bit. And you're going to go around the front of the car and examine the right hand side, that's from inside the car, the right hand side air intake vent. You'll see a screw on the right hand side, and you're going to need to remove that and carefully unclip the vent so that you can reveal what's inside. And what's inside is the threaded socket for your towing eye. Now bear in mind, these are actually a left hand thread, confusingly. I'm not really sure why that is, but it's the way it is. Simply turn the towing eye to the left anti-clockwise and keep turning until it's solid. The towing eye is now in place. The problem is a lot of breakdown companies don't have a lot of experience towing Bentleys around, and you might find that someone will come along with a winch and try and drag it up by its control arms or by some part of the subframe, and because it's such a heavy car, this could lead to damage to your car, and you don't want that. So even in an emergency that you can't solve yourself, you can be somewhat prepared. I hope these 4 tips have been useful to you. If you liked the video, please show me, put a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, then please do subscribe. And if you think anybody else might find this information useful, because it doesn't just apply to Bentley, then please do share it on. Thanks for watching and happy motoring.